Welcome to the DSEF. The Direct Selling Executives Forum was created to be a place where real direct selling executives and vendors in the space can come out and share solutions to challenges that face us all in the marketplace. Our guest today is going to be unpacking a topic and sharing their raw thoughts for you to learn from. All right, let's go meet our guest. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Direct Selling Executives Forum's open forum on attracting your dream referral partner avatar. There is a discussion amongst many of us about how we actually attract the people we desire to be building our referral marketing and direct selling companies. And today on the panel, I'm so excited to welcome Jackie McClements out here to the call. And before we do, I want to go ahead and just read a bit of Jackie's bio here. So for those of you that aren't familiar with Jackie, you haven't run into Jackie, she's just an absolute powerhouse from Canada. I want to tell you a bit of Jackie's story. 25 years of experience in social selling, business development. Jackie worked across both traditional direct selling and affiliate models. She's chaired the Direct Selling Education Foundation and served on the board of the Direct Selling Association in Canada. Jackie's collaborated with global leadership teams at legacy companies, helping bridge the gap between established systems and innovative strategies that keep pace with today's evolving marketplace. Outside of work, Jackie's a proud mom to her 14-year-old daughter, Madison, and knows firsthand the balancing act between career and family, which is why she's such a passionate advocate for the industry and provides the opportunity for women to earn an income and be home with their families if they so choose. Her favorite quote from the great Muhammad Ali is, "You don't lose if you get knocked down, you lose. You stay down," which seems to resonate even more now with the shifts we're seeing in this channel. Now she shares her insights on attracting a desired demographic, adapting to modern marketing trends, and growing sustainability, all while keeping things real, both as a business leader and a mom. Jackie, thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much, Ben. That was wonderful. I feel super grateful to be here. I know you and I have been chatting quite a bit over the last couple of years, and we've been talking about collaborating in this way for quite some time. So it's nice that we've finally been able to do that. I feel like we are speaking or unpacking pretty big topic here today for sure. So thank you so much for having me be part of this specific topic. Really excited, and hopefully I'm able to serve our community and share some insights.
Oh, well, that's exactly why we picked you. This is a conversation that's on a lot of people's minds. And so with that, let's go ahead and start the open forum. So Omar is our host today. The forum's yours. We'll have you go ahead.
Thank you, Ben. Good morning. Good afternoon, team. Jackie, what a powerhouse, ma'am. You've been in this space for years. Tell us your story. How did you first learn about the direct selling space, and what brought you in to the place you are today?
Well, thank you, Omar. It's a pleasure to be here with you as well. Okay, well, I guess I should start by saying I started with a company, and I'm dating myself hugely here, you guys, but you heard Ben say I've been around for about 25 years. I was young when I started. I will
4
say
years
that.
old when you first started.
I was about 4, yeah, exactly. And I started with a company called Excel Telecommunications. It was a global company, and I was helping with you guys know, you're all nodding. This was a company that,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so we actually I was part of the Canadian subsidiary of Excel Telecommunications Global, and learned so much. This is like, I feel like every phase of my career where I learned something new about why I love being in this channel.
Sure.
And so when I was at Excel, I really did learn, like, this was my first exposure to network marketing. You know, I didn't call it social selling at the time or multi-level marketing. We very much called it multi-level marketing at the time. And I really learned the power of entrepreneurship and how there was this channel to offer it with a very low startup. And I actually really loved that. So that's kind of what I learned when I went there. As I continued on in my career, I think it's safe to say that I went right from Excel and I went into Mary Kay. And that's where, when I was at Mary Kay, I really learned the power and the impact that this channel has. So yes, anybody who had an entrepreneurial spirit and wanted to be able to make an income in this way without having to get a franchise and that sort of thing was learnt at the very start at this company, like Excel. And then I really learned the impact that it had on families and communities, women specifically, of course, at Mary Kay, and how that really changed the trajectory for me on what this channel can provide, women specifically in that case. It changed the game for me for sure. And then, I went on to a couple of other places. I think it's also safe to say I went on to Arbonne after that, where I think I really grew up in the channel. I learned so much about what really challenges the field, what we need to do for our consumers, how we need to talk about our product, what our brand looks like, how we need to teach, train our field. And I became so passionate, and I never looked back after that. And so there goes my career. I went on to move on and work as the head of the market in Canada for Monet Global. And then from there, I moved on to where I am right now at Faster Ways. So I've really been able to be exposed to, it's really cool because my career kind of took me to all of these different evolutions of the channel as well, where, Excel was predominantly men. Then I saw Mary Kay was predominantly women. And at the time we were still very, resistant to men doing the business there and that sort of thing. And then we really honed in on, it was Party Plan. It was like delivering the products. Do you remember? Right. And then I went on to where it was like, now the product is delivered straight to the consumer. And this was this was a big thing and very different for the channel at the time. We went we did a lot of it was a lot of belly to belly and one-on-ones at this time. This is how we kind of morphed from the party to even Facebook parties became a thing, when I was at Arbonne. And then it was the rise of social media, right? And everything influencer and influencer marketing. And so I've been able to see all of these waves and shifts in the channel and how we really market ourselves. So it's been really, really cool and very, very exciting to me. So I think speaking about this topic, I feel like I've seen the evolution of what happens when you're trying a company who's been around for 50, 60 years and trying to rebrand or trying to, really attract this demographic versus, where I was when I was at Monet and we already had that demographic. We started with that demographic. So I have a perspective on all of that and really taking it from the traditional channel right through to the affiliate model channel. So it's been an incredible ride, you guys. What a journey.
Yeah, it's so cool to hear that you started. Oh, one of the things I love about what Jackie just shared is that she started in Excel communications, because I have run into dozens and dozens and dozens of executives in my time who were either a top earner or were on the leadership team. And what we can all know about Excel is Excel developed people. It did. They did a very good job of developing people with skills. It proved very successful in the 90s and in the time that they did that. And you're talking about the difference Mary Kay made in people's lives, and then the massive success Mona had during COVID was just nuts. And so there's a lot of people saw that and said, how do I do that? And it lends itself right to what we have in the panel. So I'm excited to jump in. So back to you, Omar.
Me too.
Excited.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing such an impactful journey with us, Jackie. Most companies today, are dying to attract the 28 to 42-year-old women that understand social media and can influence contacts online through TikTok and Instagram to buy products retail from their brand. What framework would you share with brands that want to attract this type of referral partner?
Yes. Oh, I love this question very, very much. And I have a whole lot to say. So you just interrupt and start asking whatever other questions you want. But I think it's really important
This
to
is
know.
the most. Yeah.
Go ahead. What were you going to say, Omar?
Sure. Go ahead. These are the most hot favorite questions, we have from the panel. So please go ahead, enlighten us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think it's important to note before we even, take a deep dive into this is that I come from a place from experience, as you've heard. So, and being through this journey for the last 25 years and seeing all these shifts where in some companies, we had to adapt to gain this demographic. Or we naturally, and I sort of alluded to this already, or I was at a place where we were already naturally at that demographic. So we were doing more of what we knew worked, and we leveraged the field in terms of, focus groups and forums and asked their thoughts and feedback on what we can do more of. Is this enough? Do we need to do something different? So we really did focus a lot of our effort on, this is the demographic that many are looking for. So let's keep doing what we need to do, but ask the field what more we can do or what we could do differently so that we could support them, their role of sharing the opportunity and getting our consumers or our clients. So I think that's really important, but I do want to also specify and state that I actually did do a little bit of a survey because I think it's really important to ask the people who are joining these companies who are in this demographic already, right? So I feel very fortunate, Ben and Omar, that I've I've established some incredible relationships along my journey in this channel. And to this day, I still hold a lot of those relationships very close to my heart. And I still can reach out to any of them and say, hey, I'm doing this podcast with Ben and Omar, and this is the question, and you're in this demographic, and you just started with this XX company. Tell me what you think, what's your thoughts? So I think it's really important that, yes, I'm coming to the table with some of my own thoughts on it and experience, but I've also pulled some of the people that I know very, very well who are in this demographic, who are choosing these companies, right?
Love it.
That they're going to. Yeah. So I wanted to make sure I pointed that out. First, start with saying, very almost obvious is branding. Like your branding says everything about your company, right? Does your age group want to get behind your brand? Like, what is your key differentiator? What's the feel? Who do you sell to? So basically, what is the product that you sell, and who is it attracting, right? So I think you have to almost start right at that, like strip it right down, right to the basics, right? Have you done any media pickup? Like, have you been picked up by any media? PR is really big right now. It holds a lot of credibility because it's outside of what the independent sales consultant is saying about the product, and they could really use that as like third party credibility, that sort of thing. So this speaks volumes. So your brand is truly everything. And they're really savvy consumers right now. There's really savvy consumers out there, and an affiliate or a sales consultant want to get behind a brand that speaks to those people in that demographic who are very savvy about brand and how you formulate and these types of things. These are important.
I actually want to pause right there, because you talked to us about how big PR is real quick. And I know you have a ton to share on this, so I don't want to interrupt the flow, but I want to double down on what you just said. It's not only the PR you can get from third parties, it's the other trusted third party sources that are already talking about the issue you solve that you can use. Well, Omar and I ran into this just this week. I had a client who had a product, and there was a TED Talk and an Andrew Huberman podcast that had 43 million views about the same issue their product solves. And we said, hey, instead of you guys you've already spent your 50 grand on your cool videos for your direct sales folks to use, but why aren't you leveraging the 12-minute TED Talk that has 14 million views? And why aren't you leveraging the 43 million view Andrew Huberman podcast that's already talking about what you do? And it's not saying your brand's name, but it's talking about why you need what these guys are doing. So those third-party tools, gang, sometimes you just got to open your eyes and look for them. And that's an easy one many of us miss as executives in direct selling companies. So
I say get on TikTok.
About it. Yeah.
I love that, Ben. I love that so much. I say get on TikTok. That is the source of all information. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, a blessing or a curse. I'm not going to even lie. But
it is our life.
Everybody's it's our life. It's reality, whether we like it or not. And that's where everybody goes as their source of information right now. And I would say dig deep into that and find what it is that you do and search those things out on these platforms. I could tell you that, our social media, I worked very closely with social media in my positions, and we would go searching for those things. It wasn't on TikTok necessarily all of the time, but what are some of these topics that people are speaking on in the beauty industry? And then we focus on the product that we had that was where the focus, what that focus was, if you know what I mean. And then we would speak to that. Oh, and you heard in this magazine that they're speaking about X health. And so we would talk about the product. So exactly what you're saying. But I would say also price point is a huge part of who you are and your brand as well. I think gone are the days where anybody's going to get behind, and I'm exaggerating here, but $1,000, product set. Right. I think people know that you can get very good product and it doesn't have to cost, your firstborn type of thing. So I think gone are those days where people are willing to try to be convinced or educated that, you have to spend $1,000 on 2 or 3 or 4 products, that type of thing, because you can walk into any store and get something very high end for much less than that. So I would say on top of that is simplicity. This group is looking for simplicity. Again, I can tell you in my day, in my journey, I remember when our field leaders would spend, I don't even want to guess how many countless hours on creating binders and sources of information to help their people who are coming in joining them on their team with all the things that they needed to know, whether it was trainings and like what they needed to do to like learn social media and how to do a post. And well, I should say that's still a thing, a big thing, but how to start up and what they need to know and where do they go to get this information. And this was all reliant on the field leader, right? These independent consultant leaders. And again, these folks were coming in now in this group, like in this age range and demographic, they know the cost, the dollar per hour, right? Like nobody wants to spend that much time anymore on building these gigantic binders or like, digital sources of information to share with people because nobody's got the time for that. Nobody has the attention span for that anymore. So it has to be a plug and play. Like what are you providing anybody who's going to be new in your business? Is it simple? Do you provide proper onboarding? Is there really clean cadence for calls? What kind of marketing information are they going to get? Like, do they have lead generation? Do you have a calendar that they can follow on, the same cadence and flow of product launches or information that you're sharing? Like, is it a plug and play system? Because nobody's going to spend hours and hours and hours trying to learn it all in their first 30 days. If they're not doing something productive and, activating in those first 30 days, you're going to like, they want nothing to do with it. Right. So that's really, really important. Yeah, that's really
we
important.
had a big fact earlier on a previous episode about this onboarding topic and about their time on activation. You mentioned onboarding and dollar per hour. So to just double down both those again, you hear this tossed around. Oh yeah, onboarding is important. Dave Fleming, who's now at Norwex, shared that their data, or was at Norwex and now is Neora. So he was ran LifeVantage for years and then ran Norwex for a bit, and the last 2 years they've been running Neora. Dave came on to and talked about how you are make even $1. You got to make $1 in your first 14 days as a distributor. You are 27 times more likely to still be on the team in 1 year.
Right.
$1.
Right.
Got to make $1.
Yeah.
So Jackie's talking about onboarding, clear path. Go make that first $1. 27 times more likely to be with us in a year. And this dollar per hour stuff is real. We have seen, I know on our side, the rise of these, in traditional business, you call them setter closer models, right? Where when you have multiple sales team, this person teeing it up and this person closing the deal. And in direct selling companies and social selling companies, we see it all the time, whether it's replicated webinars and people are just booking folks in replicated webinars and the closers are close for them, or even if it's individual appointments and they're booking people into actual like calendar software, people close. Some of the, we are seeing lots of companies figure out ways to minimize the amount of time the promoter needs to bring while they still extend their trust. Because we think about the value this person's really bringing to the relationship, to your brand, is that they have trusted associates. They have people in their life who trust them. And as they share you with them, do we need them to do the whole presentation anymore? Or can we just have them book them into a video or book them into a webinar or book them into a one-on-one appointment? Whatever your sales process is it keen to a setter closer model, however that looks in your world? And it's interesting because some of the fastest growing groups we've seen in the last 6 years of ones that are really just kicking butt in the space still, regardless of COVID or no COVID, guess what? They were setter closer models. And so it's Jackie's right on when you have to say you have to think about the dollar per hour. If you think that every lead they peak interest to, they then need to spend an hour selling or 2 hours onboarding. Well, now it's 4 hours for that $35 commission instead of the 15 minutes of peaking interest. And so you got to really look deep at that. That's a really good thought, Jackie. All right.
It's an absolutely great point. I love that. It's so true. It has to be simple for the person coming on board, because if we overcomplicate it, we'll just, well, one, it'll be a hard sell. And number two, they just won't join or they won't stay. Social assets are really a big one. We can't allow, although this is like a fine line right now because they're coming in and they want to influence. Right. They want to use their platforms to influence when they're partnering with your brand. So we want to make sure that we allow them those freedoms to be able to influence, but we also want to make sure that they're, that they're sharing what is on brand. So providing them with these social assets and the marketing assets that they need. And Ben, you know this more than ever, like, doing what you do. I mean, lead generation is really, really huge. Let's help them how to do that. Let's create these things for them. Let's have simple links that they can share to make that commission. And again, that dollar per hour, right? Like, I love that 27% stat. That is huge for $1 made. Like, let's get them week one, like day one, doing that sort of thing. And that can only happen if we provide them with the right tools. And I know you do great things with lead generation. So,
and in providing the assets, before we move to the next one, just as your question, what's been your opinion on this whole reaction video craze of corporate providing the compliant content and the field reps just getting to record their own faces, reacting to it and posting it in social media? We're seeing this again and again and again to kind of solve that compliance challenge of, oh, are they posting something that's on brand? While at the same time, giving them the ability to make it their own and their personality. What's been your view on reaction videos so far?
I think that's okay, as long as there's a space for them to feel authentic when they're sharing that, that it's because they're doing that from an authentic standpoint, and it isn't, terribly scripted or contrived, that sort of thing. I think be a good sort of middle ground of giving them too much, right? And then not giving them enough. So I think it's good. We'll see where it goes, but I think it's been good. How about you?
I love your answer, Jackie, because the hesitation in your voice was talking about how this stuff can get cringy fast. And what's so funny is a perfect segue, because Omar's next question is about the cringe that's keeping these women away from all of our companies. And so let's go right to Omar, because Jackie was just hinting at it. And so let's unpack it. There's a lot to talk about here. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, at times, as you speak about it, businesses in referral marketing today appears cringy to their target market. What pitfalls would you invite companies to avoid to skip the cringe factor?
Well, I would say is authenticity is huge. And I think people see through inauthenticity, like clearly, like they know when a company's being inauthentic about what they're presenting and what they're doing. I also think gone are the days of like, let's promote, and I know we can't anymore with all of the scrutiny around, income claims and all of this, but gone are the days that we want to showcase the gigantic houses and the lavish trips and all of these things, because I find that cringy. I think at one time it spoke volumes, but I think now, I think people just, for the most part, they want to make, if they can make a few hundred to a few $1,000s in a month, that's their first perception. Like, if I can do this will be great, right? So it's so unattainable to that person. I really believe that could be discouraging and not relatable, right? So you'd be losing that group altogether. Like, they're an affiliate demographic, right? They're an influencer demographic. They think they're going to be making a few percentage points on a link that they're sharing. So that's beyond their realm of understanding. And it also speaks to the fact that only a very small percentage of people can have those things. Like, I think that there's knowledge there now, right? So it's unattainable. Like, for them, it's like, oh, I don't want to even bother, because it's, who knows what they had to do to get to that point to have those things. So I'm not there. So I think if we could eliminate that and keep away from these types of things for all other purposes, compliance related, of course, but also it just doesn't resonate anymore.
You mentioned at first being overly prescriptive in how they share, right? You lose authenticity.
Right.
So they come back from that being overly prescriptive. If people don't sound like themselves, it's cringy to their friends. It's cringy to them, right? Oh, they're not even willing to do it if we're overly prescriptive. But man, to the second point of your lavish lifestyle and these income claims that are kind of unspoken, they also feel fake to these young people because they're doubting that it's real. Their friend may have rented that home on Airbnb. They may have rented that car on Turo just for that day. They don't know, oh, do they actually own that? Did they rent it? Like, they don't know. And so it's not this demographic. And if you're going to truly attract that hardworking 28 to 42-year-old gal that wants to be with you long term, and you're solving a $400 a month problem or $600 a month problem, what would be the flaunt for the $600 a month problem solved, right? It may be simple things like they're showcasing lifestyle stuff around going out to eat as a family and how they can order what they want on the menu, or going to a movie with the kids, right? It's these simple things they're celebrating, not, oh, check out my Jaguar in Malibu, right? To Jackie's point. And so you can be thinking about that of how to celebrate success tastefully with people when they're celebrating these smaller wins. And that actually can resonate way more to that everyday person that's looking at your stuff. So powerful thought there for sure. That's good.
I couldn't agree more. I think that was very well put. I do think it's just so far gone now. It's not what people are looking for. Also want to, diversify their income. So if you're, I mean, we have to, this is probably, I mean, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead here, but please, if I am, I think what we need to start considering is zero startup if you don't already have it in your program for people to start, right? Like a zero startup, let them get their feet wet before they jump in, right? Let them understand what they can earn with a zero startup and a link. I think that says so much more. So people are just so resistant now to like these startup fees and that sort of thing. That would be a really big one. And the other thing that sells outside of lavish, what we're trying to promote in terms of dollars that they would get in their first month, let's say like the $600 like you referenced, Ben, is culture. I think that is what a lot of people are looking for right now is something, a company and a brand that's really grounded in culture and in purpose, and where they're going to receive empowerment and community. I think that's the one thing that's stayed consistent in our channel are those things, right? And I think people are still looking, especially that demographic, they're still looking for those things that are strongly foundational and rooted in the brand. And that's community, culture, and purpose.
Yeah, they're lonely. We are all lonely. We think social media has made us more connected, but it's made us more separate than ever before. And the zero startups an interesting conversation. Team, to me, I hear Jackie's point there. I'm torn on that because I actually get to see the data of both y'all.
Yes.
So people who charge a startup, people who are zero startup, and just how it's the 80-20 rule and paid startup. Many of you are $50 or $99 a year as an admin fee. Of course, you can't require product for them to start up in a business. That's not legal here in America. Zero startup numbers that's not a real member yet, right? You have to, because the numbers aren't as good, right? You got to realize with no skin in the game, you're not likely to even achieve the 80-20 rule from us looking at the numbers. Like like right now, if you do a $99 a year admin fee, we hope for 80-20 rule, right? 20% of these folks are going to do something good, make some sales, earn some commissions. You go to the zero startup game, some of those numbers are like 4% of them are going to do anything. And so you have to, just as a note, right? Everyone's numbers are different, but that's the stuff we see. And so you have to ask yourself, okay, are we really going to support 96 folks that do nothing for the 4 that do something on the zero startup game? And I'm not saying that's wrong as a model. For some of you, you've done very well in that model. And we've had clients do very well in that model. But then we've had others really struggle with, man, why is no one doing anything? I say, well, you got a much lower percentage on the zero startup. This person's more of an interested lead taking a tour. They're not a committed person, right? And if you can work through what commitment looks like, that can be special. And that's what we've seen.
Absolutely. And perhaps it's tiered. It's a tiered approach, right?
It can be. Yep. And we've also seen the rise of this year. We're still out to get the tests done, but we see companies where you're a customer and you're allowed to refer people, and only once you've referred so many as a customer and you've earned points in the rewards program are you allowed to become the affiliate or allowed to become the ambassador. And that's pretty cool and exciting. We'll see how it goes. We have a few companies doing that right now. And the jury's still out. We'll have to shoot another podcast in a year and tell you what we saw, but
see how that goes. Yeah, exactly.
See how that goes. But to your point, how they start, how they are invited to participate in the referral program is all a big part of this discussion, to Jackie's point. So it's just good to kind of hone in on that. That's good. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for sharing your input. Right, the last question. This is my personal favorite. If there was just one thing a busy executive could start doing or stop doing to begin attracting the ideal women to their businesses, what would that be?
I think one of the things is really, I would say, focusing on your leadership, like the leadership within the company and the leadership within the field, right? In the reps in your field. I think people are still very interested, specifically this demographic, to partner with companies that have strong value, like integrity, like strong ethics and authenticity, all of these things that we've sort of talked about throughout this podcast. And I would say, showcase those things through the people who are partnering with you, your leaders, we'll call them your leaders. I would make sure that shows through strongly as part of as your brand. I would say take the focus off of this top down approach, right? And start thinking about these people coming in this demographic you want to attract and work down, work bottom up type of thing. Yeah. I think for a really long time, that's probably why we're in a situation that we're in right now in the space that, we're all seeing and feeling very, very much right now is, it's always come from this top down perspective or mentality. And, let's take care of the people on the top and they'll do all the things. But we want to start empowering the people who are new and are coming in. And, we've talked about that throughout as well. Like, what do we give them to have a strong start? What do we give them to see success right away? And so I would say, these pillars of core values are really, really important to people. So showcasing that, and then start thinking about, that bottom-up approach.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Omar, for hosting and Jackie for being on today. Yeah, we all are busy, and I'm grateful to each of you executives who took the time to check out the podcast, whether you're on video or on Spotify. If you haven't yet joined the Direct Selling Executives Forum, it is free. We're on LinkedIn. You can go to directsellingesecutivesforum.com, or you can just search for Direct Selling Executives Forum on LinkedIn. And that's how we get these topics that we unpacked today. Jackie, was a total treat. I got just notes. This is a gold mine for those of you who want to apply. It's a really interesting world right now, and it doesn't mean that it's over. It just means it's different. And some of you, I know there's a number of companies we've seen in the news who've said, it's over for us. Beauty Counter, we've had Redan Fields, we've had Beachbody just this week. All announced, hey, we're just moving to an affiliate program. And there's something special about developing people that only happens in our multiple tier social selling programs, where we're incentivized to pour into real relationships and love and develop people. That's so special and intimate. That's not in a traditional affiliate program. And that's that relationship community part we were talking about earlier. And it happens here. And so for those of you that are sticking to the direct selling space and saying, we're gonna go ahead and figure out how to grow communities of people, there's some opportunity for you, because as it changes, people who don't understand the space move on, and it creates opportunity for you and those of you who are focused to stay in. So thank you so much for being on here today, Jackie. It was a total treat.
It was such a pleasure, Ben. Thank you so much. Thank you, Omar. This was great. I appreciate it very much. Appreciate you
incredible.
Both.
Thank you. I appreciate you too, ma'am. Thank you.
If you haven't yet joined the DSEF group on LinkedIn, go to directsellingesecutiveforum.com or go on LinkedIn and search for Direct Selling Executive Forum to apply. The group is free and is an invite-only community of direct selling executives by direct selling executives.